Welcome to the show. My name is Tim Black. This is the Tim Black Show. Today's my guest. He's a hugely popular, successful documentary filmmaker. He's an author. He's an activist. His works frequently address the topics of globalization and capitalism. His work includes, now this is a lot to list. Let me get through a couple of these. Roger and Me, Bowling for Columbine, Fahrenheit 9/11, Sicko, Capitalism, a Love Story. He's also head of a new podcast, his own podcast called Rumble. You can get that on iTunes, YouTube, and anywhere where you get podcasts that are worth their salt. Ladies and gentlemen, the proud son and product of Flint, Michigan, Mr. Michael Moore. How you doing, Michael?
Hey, Tim, thank you so much. Thanks for having me on.
Man, the pleasure is definitely ours, brother. And we just want to start by saying, look, man, thank you so much for your work. You have been such an outspoken advocate for people's rights, for social change, man. I've been following that podcast. I love that thing. That podcast is great.
Oh, thanks. I have a lot of fun doing it. I didn't know I'd enjoy it this much, but it's been great. Thank you.
Yeah, man, you especially just to get jumped into it, man, you were so outspoken about the election cycle, man, the 2020 elections. Some of the things I was like, wow, he's talking about Elizabeth Warren. No one's got the guts to talk about Elizabeth Warren. And Michael Moore, he's a popular guy. He's got stuff to lose. He's talking about Elizabeth Warren. Michael Moore, has there been any blowback or dust up because of that?
Well, yeah, what you're referring to is that when she made the announcement during the primaries that she confirmed that according to her, that Bernie had told her a year ago that a woman can't win. I've known Bernie for like 30 plus years. Those kind of words could never come out of his mouth. Everybody who knows him knows that. And I just felt so bad for him and bad for Elizabeth Warren because I've put Elizabeth Warren in 2 of my movies. We're not friends, like a close personal friends, but I consider her a friend in the sense that she's a friend for all the stuff we've all been fighting for a long time. And so it really stunned me that she would do that the desire to win was that great to essentially not be herself. So yes, I am the kind of person that if you are not true to yourself, if you don't tell the truth, I don't care how much I like you, or I don't care how close of friends we are, I'll have to say something. And I did it in as, I don't know, polite way as possible, but I know that, probably, I don't know, 500,000 to 1 million people heard that podcast. It went around quite a bit, and it really it did some damage to her amongst people who are progressives. And I don't know what to say. People were upset. People that liked Elizabeth Warren, but I liked Elizabeth Warren. So I just explained to them that, look, if you're going to watch my films, if you're going to listen to my podcast, you've got to know that I am not going to give you the BS. I'm not going to pull my punch. I'm going to tell the truth, even if it hurts me. And it did hurt me to have to say those things about her. Now, I was just saying to somebody the other day, because somebody was asking me about who the vice presidential candidate should be. And, look, I mean, he's got great choices. I was asked this question I was on Bill Maher. Was it Bill Maher? No. I was Joy Reid. Pretty hard to mix up Joy Reid and Bill Maher.
They look a lot alike, right?
Let me just say, yeah, I'm going to have to go in and retool that part of my brain later. That there were the wires got crossed. Joy Reid, a couple weeks ago on MSNBC, she was the host of the show, asked me very quickly at the end of our interview, who did I think would make a good VP candidate? And I hadn't really thought of it a whole lot. And out of nowhere, I just said Michelle Alexander. And she was like, now Michelle, for those who don't know, Michelle Alexander wrote The New Jim Crow. She's an amazing author, teacher, one of I think our best and brightest intellectuals, and has written about race and all this stuff for a long time. And we need somebody smart right now. And I just, she's like the smartest person that came into my head. Maybe she's not a politician, so I'm doubt that Biden's going to pick her. But, you know, I was thinking the other day, my dad worked in the factory, and they were all union members. They all worked for General Motors in Flint, some in Detroit. And, you know, none of them went to college. They all had a high school education. They were very street smart, and they had great common sense. Mm-hmm. And they knew right from wrong. And I remember, first election I remember was the election of John F. Kennedy. And I was a little tyke, maybe kindergarten, first grade, somewhere around there. And I remember my dad and his buddies, his factory buddies, talking about how they wanted to vote for the smartest person. Listen, think about this. They thought that it wasn't bad that Kennedy was smarter than them. They thought that was a positive. They thought that was a good thing. And they wanted the person in the White House to be the smartest person.
Yeah.
That we would go from, in my lifetime, from that to people proud and joyful about electing the dumbest person to the White House is just, it's so mind-boggling. The quicker we can get out of this mess, the better.
Yeah, I was listening to your podcast, number 95, where you talked about Trump and the importance of us coming together to defeat Trump. And I know that some people, you know, they don't, you know, they're so upset still about Bernie Sanders. They're so upset about the last election, Bernie Sanders again. And I understand the blowback to people just totally having a gag reflex in action when you even mentioned Biden. But you were making the case for why it made sense. And could you elaborate on what it is about that makes Trump, as Dr. Cornel West would say, you know, such a threat, such a diabolical threat to our democracy and poor people?
So if you know Dr. Cornel West, the fact that he would be out there saying a similar thing to what I'm saying, that we've got to go, we've got to show up and vote, we've got to vote for Biden. And he had this great line. He said, I will vote for Biden, but I will not lie for Biden.
That's it.
And I thought, wow, that is really, that's the truth. That we have to remove this existential danger to us, Donald J. Trump. We won't survive another 4 years of this. The America we thought we had, or we hoped we would have someday, because we never really were great. So there was nothing to make great again, but I think we've always hoped we would be great. That won't happen with Trump in there. But let's go in with our eyes wide open, very clear-eyed about this. We know Biden's voting history. We know it's a long record, and a lot of it isn't very good, especially back in the 90s. He was the one who really pushed that crime bill. You know, he was the one. It's maybe if he had it to do over again now, he'd do it differently. I've met him. Have you ever met him, Tim? Biden?
Never met him, no.
Yeah, I've met him. I met him a couple times. I have to say, he is kind of just a regular Joe. He is a nice guy. He cares, or he wants to believe that he can care. And so, you know, Bernie, yes, I went out and campaigned for Bernie. And
yes, you did.
Yes, and because I want to see change in my lifetime, real change. I don't want this incremental thing. This is what's so important right now after what happened in Minneapolis, that I don't hear anybody talking about, well, now we need to take it slow, and we need to form a commission, and then we'll study it, and then we'll study the study, and then, no, to hell with all that. And that is where everyone is at. To hell with that. Change now. The city commission and city council in Minneapolis, within a week, dismantle the police department. I just had Ilhan Omar. I just recorded her. She'll be on my podcast for this weekend. And she just said it has to be gutted. She said we have to gut the police department. And I thought, yeah, that's exactly right. Because they used to be called public safety officers. There's nothing safe about them. And there's nothing about, she said even that, putting aside, which we shouldn't, their abusive behavior. In Minneapolis, the police are unable to solve every year half of the homicides. They can't, half of the murders they can't solve. There's no the number of rape prosecutions, they throw away the rape kits after they've done the exam. They've not put them anywhere, they've thrown them away. This isn't a police department. If they can't solve a murder, if they don't care about women being raped, well, I don't know what they want to call themselves. They're not police, and they're not public safety. So I think that, yes, with Bernie, we would have got to this a lot quicker upon his inauguration in January. Okay, it didn't work out. And so now we have to do what we all said we do at the very beginning. Bernie said it, I said it. We're voting for whoever's got the D by their name. And it doesn't matter. And I think somebody said even the Roomba, that little robot vacuum cleaner.
Right.
Somebody actually did a real poll, Trump versus the Roomba, and the Roomba won. So yes, if the Roomba was running, I'd be voting for the Roomba. So it's we have to get this done because we have to stop him. He is a racist. He is a fascist. He does not like women, and is they're. And I think 4 more years of this, I don't know. We will not. I don't know what we're going to call this, but it will not be called the United States of America.
He just can't get out of his own way, Michael. It's like, that whole thing with if you don't vote for me, you're not black. Mike, I don't know if you noticed or not, but in the black community, black folks I know, people were blowing up my mailbox, man. Like they couldn't believe this guy said that.
It was Black Twitter's greatest night. When he said, it was like, okay, I thought I'd heard everything.
Yeah. It was up there what we got, we got good people on both sides the way Trump described, Charlottesville.
Right.
But
to actually tell a black person that they're not black, and the person telling you you're not black is this guy.
Who's very much not black. Yeah.
Right. Yes, in fact, has spent years trying to eliminate black people from his life, starting back when his dad and him owned apartment buildings in New York City. And someone would come in to the Trump villages to take out an application to rent an apartment in their buildings. And if the person was black, they would put a C for colored at the top, circle it. It looked like a copyright symbol, but it meant that that's how they tried to get out of it when they were sued by the federal government for discrimination. They lost. Out of, I think, somehow like 800 apartments that they owned, 7 were occupied by black families. This is young Donald Trump. This is Trump in his 20s. Then go to Trump in his 30s or 40s. Go to what he did to the Central Park Five, the exonerated 5. What the ad he took out in the paper. He essentially was calling for a lynch party to kill these kids who were innocent and spent all those years in prison. The list is so long, and I'll tell you, as a Midwesterner who spends a lot of time in New York in these last number of years doing my work, I constantly ask New Yorkers, you had a job. You were to stop him way back then. How did he happen upon us? He literally should have been thrown in jail, put out of business, the money taken from. How did New Yorkers ever let this guy get away with? I swear to God, if that guy had tried that for 30 or 40 years in Detroit, no. Donald who? Haven't seen him lately. I'm not saying he'd be floating in the Detroit River. Right. He was on his way to Canada, So, but this is This has got to stop. I'm sorry I'm so hepped up about this, but there's so much on our minds. There's so much we have to do. There's the short game and the long game. And the short game is Trump removal in November and flip the Senate back to the Democrats. We get Biden in there, we only need 3 seats in the Senate, and we got the Senate back. But we got the long game. And the long game has to be, we have to get rid of that which gave us Trump, the system. Trump didn't just fall out of the sky. He was able to get this far because we have a system set up that benefits people like him. And we have to fix that. We have to take care of our income inequality. We have to make sure everybody can see a doctor and never having to worry about going bankrupt. We have to, our schools, shameful situation. In Finland, the private schools are essentially illegal. They allow a few for religious, reasons, but basically their attitude is the rich must send their kids to the schools with everybody else because they learn very quickly. Here's what happens when the rich have to go to the public schools. Those schools get really good. Those schools are like really good. And so in Finland, all schools get the same amount of money. No school gets more money. No public school gets more than the other. Same standards, same level of teachers, same national curriculum. So, some Yahoo school district doesn't want to teach evolution or doesn't want to teach science. They can't just do that. They have to follow. We're Finnish. We're in Finland. Everybody, we've all got to be educated. We've just got to start adopting ideas like that.
What do you think about the monuments coming down in the civil uprising and the protests from state to state? It's even sparked people protesting in other countries around the globe. People protesting.
Yeah, no, it's everywhere. The statues. First of all, I can't wait to get back outside. I'm in my own quarantine right now. But first of all, taking down the statue is just a good workout. It's good for your muscular skeletal system. So I encourage it. And I've been very encouraging of the statues. Don't hurt anybody while you're taking it down, but just let's get rid of them. And I was talking to my executive producer Basil, who you were talking to before the episode here, and we were talking the other day of we have got to, because Trump now has signed an executive order. He wants to put anybody who defaces a Confederate or a racist statue, he wants them in prison. So I said,
10 years.
Huh?
10 years.
10 years, yes. Oh. So we're going to set up like a Kickstarter, GoFundMe site for a legal fund just for people who are arrested taking down a statue so that they can't be left alone and left forgotten by the rest of us because we're all at home cheering it on. So if you're not actually there taking it down with them, then you've got to be supportive of them so they don't go to prison.
I heard you and Eddie talking about defunding the police and how that movement is not a new thing. That I learned something today. I didn't know that title, defund the police, and actually that push, that's been going on for decades, man. There have been activist organizations who have been, advocating to reduce the size. Now, I've had former police officers on my show. Michael Wood is one of them from Baltimore, and we used to talk about citizen policing and review boards with teeth. Not the lame review boards that don't have any authority, but we talked about that in 2014 outside of the Baltimore uprising is when we had that conversation.
Yeah.
But how do you feel about the defund the police? And is there a shot, given the way the Democrats actually roll, where they say that they support our initiatives, but when it comes down to it, they kill our initiatives?
They do, and they are often our worst enemies. I hate to say it, because they put up so many roadblocks and they slow us down. They try to deflate any movement. That's not going to happen this time. I mean, look at what just happened in New York last week with the primary. Elliot Engel, who's been in Congress for, since before I made my first film. and boom, out he goes. And I think that there's a lot of progressives that are getting elected this year. I'm hoping it'll be better. But having said that, we must not be discouraged. The Democrats are not leading this uprising. This is being led by people all over the country. In the smallest of towns, they are having protests. In the smallest of villages, they have formed Black Lives Matter chapters where there are no black people. I mean, I'm not laughing, please. If you're
right, that's good. Right, it's a good thing.
No,
I'm excited. Yeah.
No, thank you for doing that, and God bless you for it. I'm serious because people said a black man could never get elected president of the United States. Black people make up 13% of our population. How could that ever happen? It happened. It happened because just enough white people were able to overcome their personal racism to do what was best for the country. And after 4 years of George W. Bush, after a total collapse of our economy, after poor and working class people being hoodwinked into these loans and then being evicted from their homes by the hundreds of thousands in 2008, that was it. That was it for a lot of white people. Yeah. And I'm sure there were a lot of inner conversations where white people will go, "Oh, I'm done with the Republicans." I know, but you're going to have to vote for the black guy. I know. And they're like, "Well, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Yeah. I don't care how much it kills me. I'm going to do it."
Is that similarly, could that juxtapose that with why some people voted for Trump over Hillary?
Well, yes, I think so. Here's what's interesting. Somewhere, we don't know the exact number because the vote is private, but somewhere between 4 and 8 million Obama voters voted for Trump in 2016. So in other words, people that voted for Obama in either 2008 or 2012 or both, 4 to 8 million of them. And remember, Trump only won by 77,000 votes in the 3 states of Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania that he needed for the Electoral College. So don't you think of the 4 to 8 million Obama voters that for whatever reason they didn't like Hillary, they're angry older white guys, Trump's demographic, they are angry white guys over the age of 50 with a high school education. Oh, wait a minute, I just described myself. I meant to go to college. Kids watching this, go to college, stay in school, don't follow this path. We're
going to try to make it free for them, though.
Yes.
Right.
Well, yes, of course it should be free. Mm-hmm. Because back in I don't know how old you are, Tim, you're younger than me, but in my day, college was free. You paid for your books. But if you went to any UC school in California, University of California, Berkeley, UCLA, Santa Barbara, total cost, free. Free, literally free. In Michigan, my day, you could go to the University of Michigan for, I think, $400 a semester, maybe $800, something like that. It was nothing. The fact that we are putting our kids at the age of 22 into a debtor's prison, a virtual debtor's prison, where they will not be able to pay off their education until their 40s or even 50s, is criminal. It's absolutely criminal, because then they don't get to start out in their 20s working and doing the things that they like to do, or that they're maybe good at, or maybe they're the ones that got the next invention or the next cure for whatever disease. But instead, they've got to pay off the college loan, so they've got to take some crap job just so they can make that monthly payment, a job they don't like. And how much do we lose in terms of the ingenuity, the entrepreneurship, the creativity? What have we lost by making it so damn hard to be able to go to college now? I'm not talking about we, the society. What have we lost? Forget about, yes, it's a good thing for them and they shouldn't be in debt and all that. But now I'm asking people to think about the greater us. What have we lost by not having these young people do the things that they're anxious and excited and they want to explore? What have we lost now? Because we've had 2 or 3 decades of young people not being able to explore the things that they were curious about, the things that they had an idea that maybe this could be done a different way. Maybe this could be safer for people. Maybe this could save lives. Maybe this wouldn't have to be so expensive. You
It's
know?
just a lack of creativity, I think, amongst. And you know what, though, Michael? I don't really think it's the people. I think it's our media, brother. And as you, a person who creates media in your movies, you lead conversations, you start conversations. I know you know what I'm saying when I say I meet people every day who I think are just misinformed or ill-informed based on the content that they consume. I think that's part of the driving force.
Yes, that is very true what you just said. And I try to explain this to people from other countries because they're like, what is wrong with you people? Why aren't you wearing a mask? Why don't you know the basic things? They're just I had somebody from Austria say to me one time, I can't tell you how many Americans think I live in Australia. I said, I know, please don't think less of us, okay? We're a good people. You know, we are a good people. We have a good heart, and if you're in trouble, we'll be there for you. It's just that we're a nation of slow learners, and it takes us a while sometimes to figure out that maybe we should be doing this a different way. Maybe it's not a bad idea that women should vote. Maybe we should do that. Maybe we should, just go down the whole list of things where it takes us so long. I mean, the fact that this past year that we had to celebrate the 400th anniversary of slavery, 1619 to 2019, now 401 years. And it's like, after all of that, after a civil war, after everything, after finally getting laws passed in the 60s, my parents took us kids to Washington, D.C. in the summer of 1965. I was in 5th grade. And just out of coincidence, by sheer luck, we happened to go into the Capitol building on the day that they were debating the Voting Rights Act of 1965. And my mom sat us kids up in the balcony there of the House watching them debate this. Actually, it was the Senate. And those speeches about why this had to happen just seared into my, 5th grade brain. And, I know, and that bill passed, of course, and a president that I have really nothing good to say about because he sent my generation off to Vietnam, Lyndon Johnson, but he signed that bill. Yeah. And we were a bit better because of it. He turned around and gave the pen to Martin Luther King. And but the fact that 400 years later that African Americans would be on the bottom rung of the economic ladder in this country, still on the lowest rung of the economic ladder, sharing it with Native Americans. So our two original sins, founding the country on genocide of the Native people, and then building the country on the backs of slaves that we didn't have to pay. So if you study the history of this, of course, as you have, we as a new country got to rise up pretty fast economically and be an economic force because we didn't have to pay millions of people. Labor is your biggest cost, as any businessman will tell you. And the fact that we got away with that, and while doing it, tortured, killed, raped, families broken apart, never to see each other again, all of that in the name of commerce and capitalism, and that we are in 2020, even you and I talking about things that we should have long ago had to stop talking about, and where we have this sense of equality. Well, this is one of the, and I know we're in the middle of the pandemic. Like I said, I'm in my own quarantine here. It's a bad time. It's a dark time, but I got to tell you, I have a strange optimism in me that our young people, especially our young people, the average age of this country now is 37 years old. The young people, young adults, are going to fix this. I'm sorry it got put on them. We, the 60s generation, we're going to make it all perfect and peace, love, and understanding and all of that. And we did a lot of good things, don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying, I feel bad the younger generations, these kids down in Parkland, Florida, when we were making our last movie. They said to me, that people are calling us Generation Z. We're the Columbine generation. They said all of us in this room were either in our mommy's bellies or were born in the year of or after Columbine. And our whole lives, this is all we've known, that school is a place where you might go to die.
Horrendous.
And all the the drills they have to go through, the active shooter drills. They've not known any other way but that. So I know how much we've got to fix still. I know what the burden that we all share. But right now, as I was telling my fellow white people on my podcast, dudes, that for the last 8 Septembers, the majority of kids walking into first grade in the United States of America, the majority were not white. 8 years in a row now. In the 2040s, white people are going to be the minority. They will still hold a lot of power, economically, probably.
Of course.
But what I say to white people is, this is going to flip. And maybe you should start treating the people that have been in the minority a bit better. Because when they're in the majority, you don't want to be treated the way you've treated them, do you? This is a time of change right now. Don't wait to 2040. Let's change it now. Let's fix it now. Let's live a different way. And then when we're in the 2040s, we won't look at color. We'll just look at each other as human beings. But that's really up to white people if they want to take that risk right now. I don't think it's much of a risk. I think it's if you've been going to church for most of your life, you've been told it every Sunday that This is the way you're supposed to live.
It's what we are supposed to aspire to, right?
Supposedly, right?
Right.
I mean, this is the apostles. If we just do a little church here for a second. I actually went to the seminary to be a priest.
Wow.
When I was a teenager. Yes, a Catholic priest. I only lasted a year. I read the rules, and the hormones were kicking in. And,
well, it's all good. My last guest was Bishop Barber, Reverend Barber. So
yeah. Yes, except he belongs to a religion where you can marry somebody. But so one day the apostles were sitting around with JC, and they said, hey, because we're the apostles, we've been doing all this work with you. Can you give us, is there like a password at the pearly gates to get into heaven? Is there like a secret code that can get us in into a club, but it's heaven? And Jesus said, yeah, actually there is. And they were like, whoa, okay, shh, we won't tell anybody. What is it? And Jesus said, it's really quite simple. Peter is going to be there at the gate with a clipboard. And he's just going to ask a series of questions. And depending how you answer the question, that's how you get in through the doors. What are the questions? So Jesus goes, well, the first question is, when I was hungry, did you feed me? When I was homeless, did you give me shelter? When I was sick, did you heal me? And there was a few more questions, but it says, if your answer is yes to each of these, and the last question is going to be, if you did any of these when I was in jail, did you come to visit me? If you did any of these for the least among us, the people that have the least, then that means you did it for me and my Father and that Holy Ghost who's flying around somewhere. Come on in, and you get to go in. That's the secret password. And I heard Jesse Jackson say this a long time ago. He said, you cannot get into heaven without a permission slip from the poor. Is this the number two thing that the Bible talks about? If you look at somebody's done this. They've taken all the Bible verses. So the number one thing the Bible, if you count up the verses, talks about is salvation. All right. Number two is the poor, the have-nots. What you did for them and how you treated them will determine whether you will be rewarded. It's a lesson that has stuck with me since I was a child, listening to my parents talk about electing the first Catholic president in 1960. And there hasn't been one since, by the way. Just not saying anything. I'm just saying.
Yeah, just saying. Right. well, look, Michael. I've definitely enjoyed this this conversation. I'm sure my viewers have enjoyed it. One last thing, though. Just before we went to air, Ghislaine Maxwell, right-hand person to Jeffrey Epstein, she was just arrested by the FBI, charged on 6 accounts, luring children, underage women for illegal activities, 2 perjuries. What are your thoughts about her being arrested?
Did they arrest her?
Yes.
Wow. So they threw her down, put a knee on her neck, maybe a big hypodermic needle. No, none of that. Probably not. Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't do an Elijah McClain. I know who you're referring to. Right. Or George Floyd.
Well, I'm just, because I made Bowling for Columbine, I spent a lot of time in Aurora, in Littleton, in those suburbs of Denver where the Columbine shooting took place. And I have no love for the police in Aurora. A few years ago, if you remember, a young white male came into the Aurora movie theater with these guns and shot nearly 70 people. 12 of them died. The police arrived. Did they shoot this kid?
No.
No, they arrested him. They read him his rights. Now you come with us now. We're going to put you in the police car. We'll take you down to the station. And it's like, wow. So this guy shoots 70 people in a movie theater. Not a scratch on him. The other guy, Elijah McClain, his crime, he went down to the convenience store and bought an iced tea. And he was bebopping home, listening to the tunes in his ears with his iced tea. And they murdered him. I refuse to live in a country like this, and I'm not leaving. So there's a problem, because that's going to have to change if I'm staying, and I am staying. So there you go. It's been an honor to be here with you on this on your you also
platform, brother.
Well, first of all, too, you have the courage on yours you actually use video too, not just audio. My podcast is just audio. I've got another good 60 or 70 pounds to drop before I can even think of putting the camera and Dave.
They love you, man. We love you, so it doesn't matter. Just do you. Get somebody to film it when
Yeah.
But for that, but still, once again, though, Michael Moore, thank you so much for taking time out. And look, good luck on your podcast. I know it's doing exceptional. It's like ranked really high already. It's 96 episodes in, guys. It's called Rumble. It's on iTunes and anywhere else you get quality podcasts. Thank you, Mr. Moore.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you for what you're doing. Keep it up. You're inspiring a lot of people with the things that you're saying and doing, and we all appreciate you for it.
Thank you, brother. That's it. That would be a cut, brother. Thank you so much, man. Hey, I meant to shout out Basil and K Lovejoy for putting this together, man. I should have said that.
I gave Basil a shout out there.
Yeah, you did. I slipped on that. I meant to shout out my person too. All right, all you Johnsons out there, don't forget to check out the Michael Moore podcast. It's called Rumble, and you can get it on iTunes and anywhere else you get podcasts. And don't forget to become a member of the Tim Black Wolfpack right here. I got love for you. Peace, Johnson. Wolfpack.